Welcome to the NoBS podcast, the gaming news podcast where we ditch the sugarcoating and give it to you straight. I'm Blake.
And I'm Steve.
And if you're looking for real talk without the BS, you've come to the right place. Before we jump in, don't forget to stay connected with us. Follow us on X at NoBS Podcast GG for all the latest updates and hot takes. Check out our YouTube channel, NoBS Podcast GG, and be sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm also on TikTok at Blake NoBS throughout the week, so make sure to stop on by and say what's up. Love what you're hearing? Show your support by liking this episode, dropping a comment with your thoughts, and subscribing to keep up with all our future content. This week we focus on a Switch 2 prototype leak, the Palworld Lawsuit, X supporting pro gamer streaming, the PS5 30th Anniversary Edition, Final Fantasy low profits, and the retirement of Valorant Pro 10s. Alright, let's cut through the BS and get into today's episode. Welcome everyone to the NoBS podcast. It's been a fantastic week, and I'm really excited to talk about all these topics with you all. So what's been going on with you, Steve, the past week, and any games you've been playing?
Yeah, so I've actually I'm a sucker for a good simulator game. I think I have every single simulator type game that comes out, whether it's storage hustler simulator, train simulator, I have truck driving simulator, I have grocery store simulator, and this game came out that I think it came out this week, but it kind of combines two of my loves in I love TCGs, I love trading cards, I love trading card games, I love playing the games, and this game's called TCG Card Shop Simulator. And
I think I saw you on Steam playing that.
Yeah, I was immediately sucked in, and there's just looking at the roadmap and the things that they're going to add into this game just gets me even more excited for this. It's like I love games where you can kind of see your progression and you could see the fruits of your labor, where this, as you kind of start unlocking stuff and you start making your store bigger, start automating it. I don't necessarily know if this offers full automation, but if it does, that'd be awesome.
It's like a game where you're selling like cards?
Yeah.
What?
You own a card shop. So the whole concept is like the very first start of the game, you start with $1,000, and it gives you a prompt. It's like, I quit my job to open up my to start my dream job of owning my own card shop. And you start your $1,000. You have one shelf, and you just lay out a bunch of card packs, and you can choose to sell them or you can choose to open them. Which again, two of my loves. I love opening up packs of cards, whether it's baseball card, Pokemon cards, Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Magic cards. It's just so exciting, and it brings in like this art of gambling and like trying to get something good. And this has that, where it's like as you open the cards, you get to see the value of each card. And your card packs are like $3. So
wait, so then does that mean that you could like have the possibility of your cards in the pack like not being worth the value of the pack that you opened?
Yeah, I've gotten a couple packs where it's like 40 cents, 60 cents for the whole pack. But then at the same time, it's like I've gotten somewhere I got like a $300 card, $50 card, $60 card, et cetera, et cetera. So it's profit either way. Obviously, like there is a chance to not make any money, but again, like I love opening up card packs in real life. I spend an absurd amount of money on cards and opening up different types of boxes. Again, whether it's Pokemon or sports cards, I just love it. It's super exciting to me, and again, bringing both aspects of things that I enjoy into one game, it's awesome. And again, like the stuff that they're trying to do with this game, if they do end up doing it, where they add grading, they're gonna let you.
Oh my gosh!
I think they're gonna let you play the game itself. In the game, so the card game in the game.
Wait, so the cards you're selling, you're able to play the game inside the game?
Not currently.
Oh, wait, they're talking about doing it?
Yeah. So the whole, I don't know if you've ever been to like a local card shop where you have like tables and like people will play, whether it's like Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh. So people come in, they buy your card packs, and then they sit there and they play the game on in your shop. And you charge them like $7 to play a game. But from what they're saying is they're going to let you play the game inside the game, which again is awesome. Like who knows if the card game is even good? It might be a blast. Like you've seen card games kind of become a thing based off how good they were in a game. Like I don't know if you've ever played Witcher.
Yeah, I played Witcher.
So there's a card game in Witcher. I can't remember exactly what it's called in the game, but it became a real card game called Gwent, because so many people just loved playing the game inside the game. Like I knew people that would spend hours just playing Gwent. They would just go to the little taverns and just play Gwent. That's all they would play The Witcher for. Yeah. So it just became its own thing. And again, people loved it. So who knows? Like maybe that'll happen with this. And I just, like I said, I'm a sucker for a good simulator game.
Do you remember how much it cost?
I think it was like $10, something like that. It's not overly expensive. Again, like I think these games are great because it's a super low barrier to entry. Most of the times these games are super affordable.
Yeah.
I think the most expensive one I've seen was like $15, but again, you can always find it on. I feel like there's always a sale on these games. And
it seems like those simulator games kind of tap into like that ASMR thing, like you've seen like the farming simulator where like all you're doing is like, or like cutting the lawnmower simulator where like all you're doing is like cutting grass.
Yeah.
So it kind of seems like it's almost like an ASMR thing, dude. I've never been like kind of want to buy a game like.
I don't know what it is about it. It's just like I said, you get these very like achievable tasks given to you. It's like I guess like say you're playing farming simulator. It's like everything you're trying to do is just mow this one lawn, and that's your thing. So as soon as you're done, you're immediately thrown into another one.
The instant satisfaction, and then on to the next. So it's like a time dump almost.
Kind of, yeah. There's no end game. There's no goal really. Like you're just trying to get it as big as possible, and you just play it. I don't know. I just love spending time on them. And any of the games like those that offer multiplayer, it's even more fun because you get to kind of bring your friends in. And a lot of my friends are super big into these types of games, and we've spent hours playing truck driving simulator and basically cosplaying truck drivers and going around and talking on the CB radio, playing farming simulator, playing construction simulator, stuff like that. It's super, super fun.
See, I've never really, I mean, I definitely have American Truck Simulator. I think I have like maybe couple 100 hours on it, but it's like I did it for what I do it for work too. So like going from work, dude, my wife used to make fun of me because it's like I'd go to work where I'm driving a truck and I'd come home and boot up the PC and relax. And just,
there was a video I saw of this dude who was like driving his truck for work cross country, and he had like one of those crazy setups where he has like a
PC in the back of it.
Yeah. And he's like pulling over to take my before bed. And he's like going to play some games before that. And he goes into the back and he just boots up American Truck Driving Simulator. It's like you just got to driving for 8 hours long. And now it's like it's funny too, because if you read some of the reviews, like I don't know if you ever saw Supermarket Simulator. It was kind of blowing up.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And some of the reviews on Steam was like just worked an 8-hour shift at Walmart, and I've just been waiting to get off work so I can clock back in and stock my grocery store. Just stuff like that. I don't know. It's so funny to me. And
it's like an ASMR thing, dude. Like you said, it's kind of like they give you like easy achievable tasks. So it's like you feel accomplished and like want to keep doing it because they're so, you're so easy. Before you know it, you've spent the past 2-3 hours doing like 100 different tasks.
Yeah, and I think that's what games like Stardew Valley and Minecraft do so well. It's just something simple, and it's like you can kind of do.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't take crazy skill. Like you could know nothing about running a grocery store and you could still do well.
Wow, that's freaking awesome. So I haven't had a chance really to play much this week. You already know this. So I sliced the tip of my thumb off on a mandolin trying to slice up some cucumber. And, I guess like that's what I get for trying to eat healthy. I did try to play a little bit of Fortnite, the Fall Guys color switch thing with my daughter, but other than that, I haven't really done much this week. I've just been kind of relaxing and trying to get this thumb to heal up. So, with Twisted Voxel, dude, there's an article on Twisted Voxel that show photos of a Switch 2 prototype. Now, these photos were leaked on a Chinese website, and I actually went to the website and looked at the photos, and I was like, it would actually kind of be nice to have a newer handheld system Because the Switch came out in 2017, so that means it's been a little roughly over 7 years since it was originally released. Now, the Nintendo Switch has sold over 143 million units worldwide, and this prototype, it boasts an 8-inch display, a pair of Joy-Cons similar to the original, and supposedly the display will be targeting a frame rate of 120 FPS, which I think is freaking awesome for a handheld. Now, this is going to be having a $400 price point. Now, what's your thoughts on like a new Switch? I don't know if you play much of the Switch, but I know they're pretty popular.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Switch is the only console that I kind of felt I needed to have. I think Nintendo is the only, in my opinion, in terms of like companies that are making first party games, Nintendo is the only one that really makes games that are just like must plays, whether it's Zelda, Smash Bros, Super Mario Party, Super Mario Kart, stuff like that. Like it's just I've just always enjoyed what Nintendo drops, and having the ability to go from handheld to playing on a TV is awesome. My only concern is we saw how Nintendo was able, they kind of flew a little bit too close to the sun with the Wii being such a great console that everyone really enjoyed. I don't think I knew, I feel like everyone I knew had a Wii.
Yeah.
You could go to like any household and there was going to be a Wii in there, just because it had games that everyone could play. Whether it's just, I would go over to one of our buddies' house and we'd play bowling. We'd spend hours just sitting there playing bowling.
Real quick, speaking of bowling, how many TVs do you think people have broken for playing bowling and flinging the remote at it, trying to put enough curve on the ball to get a strike?
Yeah, a lot, probably. A lot for sure. But it's like they saw the success of the Wii and they kind of tried to capture that and go into making the Wii U a console that not a lot of people liked. Like they still made games that were really, really good, and you saw how good these games were by how well they were received when they were ported over to the Switch. So I'm excited to see what they do. It doesn't look like they're changing much. I think they kind of found the secret sauce to what they want to do and how they want to kind of market themselves as the like premier handheld gaming company. And again, I think Nintendo does handhelds better than anyone with the Game Boy and now with the Switch. And again, as long as they continue to have those insane first party IPs, I think it's gonna be great. One of the really cool things that they added though too is they added a charging port at the top.
Yeah, I was reading about that,
which I think is awesome, because if you ever played a Switch and you were trying to charge it as you're playing it in handheld mode, it's
like in your way.
It's not the best to have the cord sitting at the bottom.
Oh, so it's almost like you're trying to be on your phone while charging it. Okay.
It feels kind of weird. So having it up top, I think, is going to be awesome. It's just like one of those little things that just little life improvements. But I have some high hopes for it. And again, $400, especially for a next gen console,
not bad.
That's super affordable. And that's why for me, like, I felt like the Switch was kind of like a must have, just because it wasn't very expensive. I think I paid $250 or something for my Switch. I bought it right before everything shut down for the pandemic, and again, it was fairly inexpensive, especially compared to a PlayStation and Xbox. And
yeah,
I was like, I already have my PC. I kind of just wanted something else to be able to game on and play some different games, and this is perfect for me.
So yeah, I like that, the whole being able to play it on the TV, because like I remember playing, I think it was like the PSP, like I can't think of like SOCOM and stuff like that on there. So like the fact that you can do all these things with that, the fact that Nintendo has built this thing to be able to do that is awesome. And we grew up on the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color playing games like Pokemon, Metroid, Tetris, and thinking about it, like those may have been like our gateway really into gaming. And with how popular handheld gaming is becoming, kind of similar to mobile gaming, but what's nice is like with the Switches, you don't need mobile data in order to play most games, right? And like you said, Nintendo has like some of the best IPs, dude. Like They got, Mario Kart on there. They got Super Smash Brothers, Animal Crossing, and a new handheld system made now with today's technology. I feel like can take those games to like a whole new level with like, better graphics, faster processing. And it's and just think about it, like this is something like I've even considered getting my daughter like for like road trips and stuff like that, and to kind of like slowly introduce her into gaming.
Yeah, I think the Switch is a great first console for sure.
I might have to pick one up for Christmas for her just just to get her into it. So speaking of Nintendo, last week we were actually talking about Palworld and the rumors of a PS5 port. Now Palworld has been in the news a little bit recently because this week, according to VideoGamersChronicle.com, Palworld is actually being sued by Nintendo. Now, it's not for the reason that most people would think. They're not, being sued because the PALs have very, very similar to Pokemon, but the lawsuit is actually over patent, which they say it's their game, like its gameplay inventions, like the way the game plays and handles it is very similar to Pokemon. Now, Palworld, there's another article that's put out that Palworld could like easily afford the legal battle. So experts say that the lawsuit is actually more likely to take about 5 years to finish up. And I don't think Palworld, I wouldn't think that Palworld has any like the Nintendo code or anything like that. Just because the devs from Palworld say that they'll fight the Nintendo lawsuit. Just to end quote, ensure indies aren't discouraged from pursuing ideas. So like my thoughts are like if they knew that what they had done was wrong, they wouldn't be willing to fork out all this money, especially against a company, like Nintendo and fighting it. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo is kind of notorious for never really losing these litigations. They have some of the best lawyers in the game, and I think anytime patenting mechanics is not something that's new in gaming, but it is something that I do think kind of hurts the industry because you want to see games innovate and bring something new to the genre and then let these other creators to kind of take that and again evolve gaming. You want gaming to continuously get better and better and better. You don't want it to kind of stall. And you see this all the time. I think one of the biggest notes that a lot of people kind of talk about when it comes to something like this is I don't know if you ever played Shadows of Mordor.
No, I've never played it.
Game came out like 10 years ago, but they had this pretty cool mechanic called the Nemesis. Basically, you would fight these mini bosses, and depending on how the battle went, these mini bosses could sometimes run away. And again, based on the situation and how you continued to play the game, they would then in turn remember that interaction that they had with you. They would either get stronger or weaker. And this kind of created this whole little game inside of a game where people were just going around trying to find their nemesis. And the whole point of it was just like these AIs were getting stronger or weaker based on the interactions and evolving. And this was something that a lot of people thought, oh, this is going to be game breaking. Like, imagine adding this into every open world game that you can think of.
Yeah.
But because they patented this mechanic,
so nobody can.
No one can do it outside of this one gaming company. And again, like they haven't really said what they're suing them for, but there's a couple different things. Whether it's the spherical ball, how they capture the PALs, how the PALs are released or brought out to fight, how you're able to ride your PALs. There's a couple things, and
I mean, you can't lie though; they are pretty freaking similar.
It is similar in a sense, but again, it's one of those things. It's like Pokemon themselves; they kind of took things from other gaming companies as well to kind of create what they have.
I mean, don't you remember Digimon?
Yeah, I think they came out around the same time, but yeah. There was like they've definitely copied some things, and they've used other things as well from other games to evolve their current game. This really, in my mind, kind of hurts the industry as a whole.
Well, I agree with you because like what you said was I think it almost like creates competition. You got, there's so many games that are similar to one another, right? You got, let's just say, like Overwatch and Paladins, League and Dota. Now, what separates it is the actual, the graphics, the gameplay, all that stuff. So like I think as long as like Palworld didn't take Nintendo code, then I feel like there really shouldn't be an issue, because it's almost like if you patent a mechanic, right? I feel like it's almost like you're making yourself almost like a monopoly that nobody can compete with you on this kind of game. Like imagine if the first Souls-like game, like if somebody patented the Souls-like combat, we wouldn't have a lot of these awesome games that we have now.
Or if one of the original battle royales kind of patented that whole entire mechanic of whether it's being the last man standing out of X amount, or the storm shrinking to, not necessarily storm, but the zone shrinking to kind of make it so everyone at the end kind of has to fight each other. Like, again, you saw it with, I think Battle Royales is a perfect example, because you saw how much they evolved post Fortnite. Like, if you think about some of the original Battle Royales with like H1Z1, Arma, DayZ, like H1Z1 was kind of a clusterfuck when you first played it. Like you went in there.
Yeah, I loved it though.
It was basically just a walking simulator for a long time, and it was like people would just run around, and I could spend an entire game not seeing a single person.
That's because you were sitting in a bush.
No. I'd be running around, but yeah. But still, it's like you'd run around, and there was almost like a different. I feel like half the time I found people, I would end up just like befriending them and trying to run around and find stuff, because it just kind of became that thing. It was so rare for me to find anyone. Then adding that kind of storm element just completely changed the game, and you were able to everywhere. You were able to see every battle royale kind of implement that, because again, it's a great innovation that games were able to use. And when companies patent these mechanics that are great for the genre, I think it sucks.
It's like they're pretty much like patenting an idea. So it's like you said, can you imagine if H1Z1 or Arma had patented the whole battle royale game? Like there would have been no competition. There would not have been an H1Z1 or a Fortnite or a Warzone or PUBG or whatever. Now, it's a lot of the gaming community too thinks with this whole Nintendo lawsuit that it's just a big Nintendo's trying to swing its thing around, and is just really jealous of the rising popularity of Palworld. And like we had mentioned with the port of the PS5, Palworld's popularity should continue to rise. As long as nothing comes out of this lawsuit, I don't see it anything really stopping them.
Yeah, and to be fair, like I don't think Pokemon and Palworld are competing against each other. I think the people that play Pokemon will probably still play Palworld, and the people that play Palworld may not necessarily enjoy Pokemon, and vice versa. They're two completely different types of games, where Palworld is more of a survival crafting game, and Pokemon is just kind of like a basic RPG discovery game.
Yeah, because you can't do any of that stuff in Pokemon like you do in Palworld, as far as like like we were building bases and all that stuff with the Pokemon and dungeons, and so I'll be sorry, go ahead.
Unless Nintendo is planning on their next iteration to include some stuff like that.
Well, maybe Palworld should have patented the dungeon and base building in this world, patented that, so Nintendo couldn't have done it. And that's freaking insane. I hope nothing comes of it. So Elon Musk, dude, wants esports pros now to stream on X, and this was an article put out by Psy.com. And we talked a few episodes ago about how Twitch has been consistently operating at a loss and has not been profitable for Amazon for some time. Now, there is a list of affiliates participating, and they're getting an X gaming badge. similar to like the blue check mark that you see on X. And some notable affiliates include popular streamers such as Dream, Jared FPS, Mr. Savage, and Lyric. And in my honest opinion, I think if more professional gamers start making the switch over to X from Twitch, then I definitely think there's going to be a lot more traffic making its way to X. And I don't think Twitch will, be able to recover from something like that. So, you I know you watch a lot of live stream. What's your opinion on X maybe becoming the new, popular live streaming site?
Yeah, I'm actually curious to see how it ends up and who does kind of transition into X. I think we saw other social medias kind of attempt to do something like that with like Facebook, but I just think the demographic on Facebook and X is completely different. I think Facebook has a much older crowd that kind of tends to lurk on Facebook versus X. You definitely have more of that younger generation that kind of gravitates towards X. I think X provides that kind of immediate discourse where you're able to interact with your fans with tweets and commenting and replying and posting pictures. And it's kind of like an all-in-one thing, and I think it's great. I mean, we see success with Instagram and them going live, and then even people doing those live rooms and kind of talking to each other in X. So adding that kind of video aspect of it, I just want to see what the quality is going to look like, how it kind of ends up, and how easy it is to do it. I think if it's something that's super super simple and your average Joe can kind of pick it up and do it, and again, it's who's to say if he opens it up to the public or if he just has very specific people, like you have to be an X partner, X gaming partner to be able to stream. Because again, the biggest reason Twitch is losing so much money is they just have too many people that are streaming that don't provide any value to Twitch. I think
Yeah.
it's like 1% of Twitch Twitch streamers are actually bringing in money to Twitch. The number's probably off, but just kind of off the top of my head. But if you kind of think about it, like you could scroll for hours trying to looking for people, and most people are going to have around that 100 or less viewers, and the likelihood of them actually making Twitch any money is relatively low.
Well, just to kind of add on top, that's kind of funny you brought that up. So I didn't even know that you could stream to X. So I actually went today and Googled, how to stream to X, and it gave you kind of like a step by step of where to find it, and I couldn't find it. So what I think now, this is just me thinking about this. What I think is going to happen is that you are going to have to pay for, like, how like X has like their premium
Oh, the
package.
verification.
Yeah, like the premium packages. I think once you pay for a certain tier, it will unlock the ability for you to live stream. So like Twitch, like you said, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can, boot up a PC, start streaming to Twitch, burn all that bandwidth and stuff like that and data, and they're not making any money. But with X charging a person, I don't know what the exact price is. I think like their premium one is like $7.99. If they're charging somebody $7.99 a month, at least they're making some kind of return. Even if that person is getting, one or two viewers and not making X that much money, at least they're still paying that subscription. So I think it's pretty smart, And Elon Musk, he is not one of those people who is gonna do something if he thinks it's gonna fail, right? And then like X isn't as popular as what it was back in the prime days like Twitter, and I think this could be a good way to help revive it. I mean, I know I would possibly pay it. If it gave me a better option of being discovered while streaming, I mean, you just got to think of it as like a minor investment,
Yeah, and X definitely provides a better, I would say, a better discoverability option than some. I think it's similar to TikTok, where good content is discoverable on X, just like TikTok. Like you see tweets going viral all the time with people with like 10, 20 followers. They post something that people enjoy, and it just randomly starts trending. So I can definitely see it doing well. Again, I'm just curious to see who adopts it and who kind of transitions over. I think they need he needs to try and pull some of these big streamers that already have a relatively big audience and try to pull them onto it and hopefully provide a good product. Like you saw Mixer completely fail, and a lot of it had to do with the quality of their product. It just wasn't good. It didn't look good. The chat was awful. A bunch of different things that kind of caused it to fail. So you had streamers like Ninja and Shroud who were like I would say like at their peak. Ninja especially, like Ninja was huge at the time that he went to Mixer, and when he went to Mixer, like his viewer count just kind of plummeted.
Say, didn't he lose quite a bit from going over there?
Yeah, he made a lot of money going to Mixer, so he was probably completely fine. But in terms of like total viewers, like he probably lost a bunch. And again, it's because the quality of Mixer was just not good. So I'm excited to see what Elon does with this, and I'm curious to see who goes over and who he kind of has be his like kind of first streamer, I guess. I could say. I mean, some of the names you said, like say if like Lyric decides to go over, which I don't necessarily think Lyric would sign an exclusive deal with X unless the money is just crazy.
Dude. I mean, Elon Musk has so much money. You don't think he would be like, dude, come stream over here, and whatever you're making at Twitch, we'll double it or whatever, as long as you exclusively stream on X.
I mean, he's had it's hard to say though too, because like some of these streamers that have been doing it forever, like Lyric, he's been streaming I think since I got out of the military, maybe even before that. He started off as a mod for another decently sized streamer in Towley, a World of Warcraft streamer, and he just kind of blew up during H1Z1. But he's built such a good community in on Twitch that to see him transition, who knows if his viewers would transition with him. So I think that's one of those things where people have to kind of think, it's like, does it make sense to switch over? I already have a good thing going here. Maybe the money is just so much that he just can't say no, but who knows?
Well, I do know they do say that, I'm just going to use like TikTok and Twitch as an example here. Like if you stream on TikTok, the conversion rate of getting your TikTok followers and viewers to watch you on Twitch is like, it's like a 2 or 3%, conversion rate. So you make a really good point in that if he has all these followers and subscribers on Twitch, it's like, how many people will really be willing to leave that website,
Yeah, I think there's a small few amount of people that could really transcend and do well wherever they go. And again, it's very, very small. I think that it's like XQC, Kai Cenat, and like iShowSpeed. I think they go wherever they go. Like they could stream on freaking OnlyFans and people would follow them. It doesn't matter where they go. It's just these people are so tied into the culture, and a lot of the things that people say, the way the kids act is largely correlated to what these three humongous streamers, like they're literally probably the biggest streamers we'll ever see.
Yeah.
And they could, I think if he's able to maybe pull one of those, maybe you could see something. But
yeah, I was gonna say, and now that there are other major social media sites that do live streaming, such like as Facebook, I wonder like how well it's gonna come. Like you said, I think they need a Kai Cenat, or someone similar like that to kind of make it pop off. So to kind of hop into the next subject, Sony released images and specs of the new PS5 30th Anniversary Edition, which will come in the PS5 Pro Edition and the PS5 Digital Edition. Now, this will be released on November 21st, and there will only be 12,300 units of the PS5 Pro version of this console. Now, pre-orders will be starting September 26th, which is the same day that the pre-orders come out for the normal PS5 Pro, and all this will be done from the official PlayStation website. Now, they have not released the price point for the 30th Anniversary Edition, but as we've stated before, that the price of the PS5 Pro is, has a base price of $700. There's a lot of websites out there who are estimating that the bundle is going to be well into the 4-figure range. And we've talked about how people will definitely spend the money just to have it and due to brand loyalty. What's your opinion on a whole new like special edition PS5, especially something like that expensive?
I mean, I'm a sucker for any special edition thing that I can really connect to, and nostalgia is a motherfucker. It's one of those things that, like, if it kind of can remind you of a different time and a different point in your life, it sucks people in. And the PlayStation 1 for me was the first gaming console that I ever really kind of got sucked into. So when I saw this, I was like, I need to have one of these, and I'm going to try very hard to get one.
Good luck. Good luck.
I'm gonna. I mean, I don't know what time they're starting the pre-orders, but I'm definitely gonna try to get one.
Are you gonna try to go for the Pro Edition though, or the digital one?
Either one. I honestly don't care. I just want one of them. I don't even have a PlayStation 5, and I wasn't even contemplating getting the Pro. But when I saw this, I was just like, okay, I need to try to get one of these. It looks awesome. The controller looks incredible. I love the little addition that they added to where the USB-C plug-in looks like the old PlayStation 1 little dongle thing. It's awesome. I just love everything about the way it looks. And again, it's going to be expensive, and more than likely it's going to get botted to hell, and the only people that are going to get it are scalpers. Who knows if Sony does something to try and prevent that and just let the people that want it get it. I know something some companies have done in the past is they have like a little extra edition that kind of makes it so if you're just botting it, because I don't know if you know much about like botting, using bots to purchase stuff. It just kind of automatically puts everything in for you. It does a transaction for you, so you're not having to sit there and click.
Yeah,
and
making
sometimes
you're able to purchase it a lot faster than your normal person.
Yeah, and there's a music artist, J Balvin, who released his shoe. He's partnered with Jordan Brand, and he released a special edition of one of his shoes. And he tweeted something, basically a coupon code that brought the price of the shoe down to normal pricing. But if you just bought it, the shoe price was $20,000. So if you were just botting it, you were paying these scalpers that were trying to get a shoe, like 100 pairs of the shoe, ended up paying some absurd amount of money, and they were just like, what the heck is going on? And people do this all the time, where it's like they'll add like a little extra step, like you do an extra puzzle or you answer a question, and then it'll bring your price down. So who knows if Sony does something to kind of help protect against bots and allow the people that want the console, that really want it, get it. Again, I'm gonna try to get it. Who knows if I get it? If I don't get it, maybe I'll look and see if I can buy it off the secondhand market. But
well, not to get your hopes up though, dude. Like I said, there's only a little over 12,000 of the PS5 Pro version, but they haven't actually released how many of like the digital edition is going to be released. So I'd imagine like they're going to be making more than that so you may be able to get your hands on it.
Yeah, like a lot of the stuff that I had, like console wise, like I bought a PlayStation 4. The only reason I even bought a PlayStation 4 was because they had a special edition a special Uncharted edition. And that's the only reason I bought a PlayStation 4, was because Uncharted is my favorite game series of all time. And when I saw this, I was like, I need to have this. And I never hook it up anymore. It's just sitting there collecting dust. But I have it, and it sits there, and it's like one of the coolest things that I have that, again, I will cherish forever. And if I can get this, I mean, I wish I still had my PlayStation 1. I think it's one of those things that you don't really necessarily think about, where you have these things that are so impactful in your life, and you kind of just, as you're growing up, you kind of just forget about them, and then once you get older, you're like, crap, I wish I would have kept that, because that would have been awesome to still have.
Yeah, but people spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on old, not necessarily collectibles, but nostalgic things. So I mean, it's not. I don't think it's uncommon to And I mean, I'm not saying $700, but depending on the price of it, I mean, $1,000, $1,100, $1,200. I mean, really isn't like that bad. Again, because like we talked about before, considering like how expensive like a PC is. I mean, if you can afford it, like go for it, dude. Because like you said, dude, the PS5, man, it looks so awesome. It's got that like original matte gray look with the original PlayStation logo on top of it, and even like the controllers have like that retro look while still having like a new controller feel to them.
Yeah, and you know what would be even more awesome is if the initial welcome screen is the old school
Oh, dude, that'd be so sick.
PlayStation screen. I think that would be awesome, and then it would just kind of be one of those things where like everyone that kind of grew up in that generation is just gonna want to get one.
You know what I want them to do is to, with the release of this, put out a new or remastered Twisted Metal, because that was like one of the first games I played on PlayStation was Twisted Metal. That would be the cherry on top for me. And with how much product, Sony's like, dude, they have been hitting it like just home run after home run with everything, man. I don't think Xbox has even considered putting out a retro console, and I don't even think Xbox's old console have anything on the original PlayStation look, dude. Like it's such a nostalgic thing, And I think Sony's definitely making its name as the leader in the video game industry by doing these. Now,
Yeah.
you know,
No, yeah, for sure. I think the Xbox definitely is past its glory. I think what really kind of helped put Xbox above Sony at the time when they were in their prime, I would say was just the games that they were releasing. Like, I mean, it was very difficult to compete against Halo and Gears of War. Like, just those two games alone were just incredible. I didn't have an Xbox at the time, but when I first saw Gears of War, I was like, holy crap, what is this? I was like, I need to get an Xbox 360. And that was the sole reason I bought an Xbox 360. And I think that pushed a lot of people to get a 360. And it kind of became one of those things where everyone had a 360. Everyone was playing this, and everyone that played online games was playing on an Xbox.
yeah. So speaking of Sony, an article came out as to they finally put out the reason why Intel had lost the chip battle to fabricate, the PS6 chip. Now, Intel lost this battle to AMD back in 2022, but for the longest time, everybody was wondering why. Now, like I said, it finally came out, and I guess it was due to Intel wanting a higher profit for themselves, basically, wanting to line their pockets more, and they basically had a back and forth with Sony like for months and months about it. And Sony finally said, see ya, and they went with the AMD contract. Now, there's reports that could have been, well over $30 billion in revenue for Intel. Now, AMD has been the chip designer for the last two consoles, and just on the PS5 alone, as of date, they have made over $15 billion. Now, who knows, when the PS6 is going to get released and all this other stuff. So, like, just thinking about, like, how much money they could have made. Like, what's your thought on Intel kind of, like, wanting to line their pockets more, to get in on this deal?
It's crazy because what I'm not like super familiar with I guess the differences in quality with these chips, but for the longest time when you're thinking of like what the best processors are, it's almost always Intel, like especially in PC gaming. It's like when I bought my PC, I specifically wanted an i9. I didn't want to go with AMD. And again, I don't know anything about it, but like in my mind, Intel is superior. So seeing this and seeing how much money Intel would have made is crazy that they kind of dropped the ball on this. One of the things too that Sony was really looking at was because their older consoles were on that AMD chip, they didn't want to risk the backwards compatibility and the possibility of them switching over to an Intel chip versus AMD, and not being able to run some of these older PlayStation games on the new console. And who knows if I think a lot of people complain that you can't put in a PS1 disc in a new console, and people really wish that that you could do that. I mean, for me, that was one of the biggest sells with getting a PS3 and a PS2, was the fact that I could run a PlayStation 1 game or a PlayStation 2 game on those, and it didn't really matter. Like, it was going to run no matter what. So I think if they, with the PS6, if they do kind of introduce the thing where it's like, okay, now you can kind of run PlayStation 1 games on this PS6, I think that'd
be really
be a
nice.
game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there is a lot of people that really, like you said, kind of enjoy some of these older games and just want to play games that kind of remind them of their childhood or games that they grew up on. And I would too. Like, if I had the ability to just go in there and run like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 on a PlayStation, I definitely would.
Yeah, make use of the games, the old games you still have sitting around.
Yeah.
So on this one, man, Eurogamer put out that the profits of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Final Fantasy 16, which actually just released on PC last week, have not met expectations. Now, me personally, I've never been a big Final Fantasy player, but I do know if you're a person like who loves the lore of the games or the story, then Final Fantasy is probably one of the your favorite games to play. However, like I said, it's not very appealing to me. Now, it does join a list of games this year that have underperformed, and we've kind of hit these games several times. You got Concord, X Defiant, Suicide Squad, and Star Wars Outlaws. It's just like there's so many games that are coming out that just aren't doing well, and I think it's a perfect example of that. If you're not bringing your A game when releasing these titles, then people are more now than ever speaking with their wallets and just not purchasing these games. Now, there used to be a thing that I think a thing such as game loyalty or brand loyalty, kind of similar how to I like, for me, for example, dude, I've been a Call of Duty fan since I was like 16. I've purchased every single Call of Duty, even if they were ass. I still purchased it. I mean, I bought the last one and probably maybe have like 50 minutes on it. But now it's like, if the game isn't living up to expectations, then people just aren't buying them anymore. So what's your thoughts on like how many of these games are just not living up to people's expectations?
It's crazy because both Final Fantasy 7 Remake and Final Fantasy 16 were very well received. Like, Final Fantasy 16 was one of the best games released last year in terms of reviews, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth is a contender for Game of the Year this year. So the quality of the game isn't bad. Like, people were saying these games are really, really good. I think this kind of goes back and ties to something that we talked about a couple weeks ago, where I think exclusivity is kind of hurting a lot of these games. I think nowadays these gaming companies need to understand that if you want your game to succeed, you need to make your game available to everyone, whether it's on every console and on PC immediately, and not wait a year into after it gets released to release it on PC and release it on other consoles. In Japan specifically, where these games tend to do very, very well, the Switch is by far the biggest console. Like, it just dwarfs everything else. Like, more people are playing on a Switch than anything else. And Square Enix needs to really look at that and try and build their game to be able to be ran on a Switch. And again, at the same time, release it on PC immediately, so that way when people that play on different consoles or different systems are able to access the game immediately at launch. And you're not seeing great sales with Final Fantasy 16 on PC, but I think a lot of it has to do with the game's been out for a year. People that have played it or people that wanted to play it have already probably played it on PlayStation. And the people that haven't played it don't really feel like paying AAA pricing for a game that's been out for a year. They'd much rather just wait for a sale and purchase it when it's half off, 40% off, whatever. Like me, I definitely want to play Final Fantasy 16. but I'm not going to pay full price. I'm going to wait until it's on sale and play it because,
Well, they got the
again,
subscription-based model too, right?
I'm not
For
100%
PC?
sure. No. I think you're thinking of 14, the MMO.
Okay.
Yeah, so they have an MMO, Final Fantasy 14, I believe it is. But this is just you purchase it outright and you play the game. But again, like I'm going to wait for it to be on sale. You have a lot of people, like a lot of people that thoroughly enjoy Final Fantasy games that are upset that they've kind of steered away from the model that they kind of grew up on and love, that turn-based combat style. And I think Square Enix kind of is thinking that a lot of people don't really enjoy turn-based combat, but I think we saw it with Baldur's Gate. You see it with the Yakuza games. People still enjoy turn-based combat. Pokemon
Baldur's
as well.
Gate might be game of the year.
Last year, yeah, it was game of the year last
yeah.
year. Yeah. People still enjoy that style of combat. I actually don't mind the new action-based combat. Like I played the remake of Final Fantasy VII, and I really enjoyed my time. I thought it was a great game. And again, I was waiting for Rebirth. I thought it was going to be released on PC relatively soon, and still kind of waiting for it. And I'm really hoping that they kind of are able to open their eyes and see how important it is to create multiple ports for this. And who knows, maybe they have some deal with Sony where they have to release it on PlayStation first before they can release it anywhere else. But if that's the case, then they need to figure something out, because otherwise they're just going to continue to blow money and it's going to hurt them in the long run.
Well, it's just like, I think last week I may mention that the God of War Ragnarok, came out on PC too, and like even them, they're not doing that well. So like you said, it's like these games I feel like need to, unless of course they have a special contract with Sony saying that they have to release it on PlayStation first. They really should be releasing it on everything, because like you said, if the game's already been out for however long on PlayStation, why would I buy it a year later after I've already played it and beat it just because it's out on PC? Like, okay, maybe better graphics, but like, is that worth paying, like you said, that AAA price for the game? Like, I don't see it. So this next article, man, if you are a Valorant lover, you probably saw the tweet that Tens put out. It was a video of him basically confirming his retirement from professional play. Now, again, those that are unfamiliar with Tens, he is a professional Valorant player who has won 2 major trophies for Team Sentinel, and he has placed in several others. Now, keeping this, not to ruin anything, but he also stated that he was going to retire back in 2021. But I guess that was short-lived, and he ended up coming back as a replacement for the player by the name of Sinatra. That's kind of how he came onto Team Sentinel, and it's weird for me seeing these young guys announcing a quote-unquote retirement from professional gaming, and they're like 20 to 30 years old, but and I'm thinking too, like, maybe the competitive aspect of gaming isn't as lucrative as people like to think, and these is going to get more bang for your buck per se in doing content creation. So what's your thoughts on this guy going into retirement?
Yeah, and people are kind of up in arms because you have a lot of professional Valorant players that are kind of deciding to retire. And again, professional gaming is a grind. I had a short stint where I thought I could be a professional Hearthstone player while I was in college, and I was grinding month and month to hit high legend, and you just kind of not slowly, you very quickly get burnt out. And I can only imagine when you're playing at such a high level, a game like Valorant, where he's probably scrimming hours upon hours, where in reality, if he wasn't doing scrims or he wasn't practicing with his team, he could be making money streaming. And I know one of the big reasons why he didn't retire initially, his girlfriend was going through a stint of cancer, and she was the one that kind of convinced him to stay for at least one more year. She said she found a lot of enjoyment in watching him compete, and that's kind of what brought her joy at the time.
Yeah.
And he decided to stay an extra year and play. and it ended up doing very well for him because I think he won one of the bigger tournaments that year, and he kind of just retired on top. But yeah, I mean, professional gaming is a grind. It's the amount of hours that they have to put into a game, and if they just imagine if like the meta is just completely unbearable, but you still have to play this one game and you have to
Be
commit to
miserable.
playing. Yeah, you have to commit to, and you see it all the time with like league players, and I know like had a stint where I was just like obsessed with TFT, and when the when the new set came out, like people were just so upset that, but they still had to sit there and grind it because it's like this is their livelihood. But
Yeah, when your job
now,
relies on it, yeah.
yeah, and now he has the kind of ability to do other things, whether it's play different games or go to events and really just be a streamer now. I think content creation is a little bit different than competitive gameplay, and I mean you saw the same thing with Shroud. Like he he definitely could have been one of the better CS:GO players had he stayed with it. He wasn't he wasn't practicing nearly as much as some of these other ones, and he was still insane. So you can only imagine how much better he would be if he had committed to being a professional player. But the amount of money that he would have been giving up on had he stuck with professional gaming versus becoming a full time streamer is insane.
Yeah, he makes so much money now. It seems like there's just like you make just so much more money putting out these YouTube videos and TikToks and just being a content creator instead of grinding to compete in tournaments.
Yeah, and realistically, esports is kind of one of those industries that doesn't really make money. Most of these organizations are going under because these players require so much money to play because they're giving up. I mean, arguably they're giving up on so much money playing in this professional tournament versus streaming themselves. Like say Shroud, for example, if he gave up streaming for a month because he's practicing for a tournament, like he's probably giving up. Yeah, he's losing out on probably like $10 million. So the amount of money that they would have to pay some of these players to play for these bigger teams is insane, and a lot of these people just can't afford it. Like the idea that like players kind of do it for the love of the game now, it's kind of lost because if you do well in a tournament, like you're able to turn that into a pretty lucrative streaming career where now it just doesn't make sense to really take the competitive aspect of it seriously. And a lot of the times like companies don't want to advertise for these esports tournaments because it just doesn't make money for them. It doesn't make sense for them to shell out millions and millions of dollars when realistically the ROI just isn't there.
It's like imagine like if this was like a sports setting, like a professional sports like baseball, where like the MLB is not paying them as much money as if they were to be making YouTube videos or coaching baseball players. They'd be like, why am I going to waste all my time training to play this professionally when I can just go make videos and teach people how to play and make twice or three times the amount of money that I am. Because like you said, a lot of their money, a lot of the competitive gaming, I think money comes in from sponsorships. But like just like you said, the ROI on it just is not there. They're not going to see as much money as they would if they sponsored Shroud's YouTube video or whatever. Like it's almost they're investing in it at a loss just to for the sake of having their name out there.
Yeah, I think some of these, especially bigger organizations, need to take a different approach to when they sign players and almost work as like their players' agents in a sense, where they're helping their players kind of get these brand deals and helping them set up their streaming services and kind of building them up for success, where they're also able to take a cut of whatever they're making, say 10-15%, and acting as their agents.
Yeah.
And really doing a service for them, making themselves valuable to the player, so the player is also committed to playing for your organization. And again, this really helps out both ends because you have someone that's helping to build your brand, but at the same time you're also making lucrative amount of money doing your own content, versus if you're just playing in these competitive settings, the organization really isn't making anything. A lot of them are operating at a loss, and you saw it you see it all the time with all these different organizations. I guarantee you, if you look at the books of any of these professional organizations, it's just negative. All of them are negative, and I think a lot of these organizations were trying to go public to try and make more money, but you immediately saw them all just kind of go down and become penny stocks, and then eventually go private again.
Yeah,
because it's no one wants to invest in these companies.
well, that's because these gaming organizations are built on the hopes and dreams of their team winning these events. You know, if you're not winning anything, then you're not really making any money. And even then, like, the prize pools just aren't there. Like, I seen a Call of Duty tournament for like $1 million, which, yeah, that's huge. But you know how much money? Like, again, I'm just using Shroud as an example because he's a perfect example for this. That dude probably makes tens of millions of dollars a year live streaming.
Yeah,
but
no,
you know, if he's sitting there
100%.
playing for Shroud 9, Shroud 9, Cloud 9, you know, for the possibility of winning $1 million, it's not going to be split amongst, you know, their 5 players, and then on top of it, their organization, and then on top of it, you know, whomever else. It's like, it's not there. The pay's not there. But honestly, I don't even think the viewership is there. I think that competitive gaming, man, is not as viewer friendly as the, you know, casual play. Like, and the casual play too, like I said with Shroud, man, you watch him play, you almost feel like he has you're seeing his personality. You're getting to know the player. You know, when you're watching Shroud competitively play, you're not really seeing that personality.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I think there's some very insane moments in esports, and I think the atmosphere for some high level esports is insane. Like when Overwatch League first came out, I was obsessed. Like I would go to watch parties and I would watch them almost every single match. It was awesome, and it's one of those things. It's like I think you have to be very involved in the specific game for you to be able to follow what's going on, and that's kind of where esports is really dropping the ball. There's no game that is really casual friendly that a person that's never played the game is able to really follow.
Yeah.
Versus like basketball or baseball or football, you could have someone that's never watched a game of baseball in their life, and they could sit there and watch a baseball game, and it's like, oh, okay, I understand what's going on. I can see what's going on, and it's difficult for a game to really do that.
Yeah, and like too, like I wonder, because we talked about this like one of our first episodes about how the competitive gaming is making its way to the Olympics. Now talking about this, I'm wondering if the reason that esports is trying to become be a part of the Olympics is to try to gain more viewership. Because, I mean, everybody watches the Olympics, so maybe this is their way of trying to get more eyes on them and bring more people and hopefully bring more money into the industry, and then in turn, maybe be able to pay their players, you know, a fair amount of money for the amount of time that they're putting into this.
I mean, to be fair, the people that are funding the esports Olympics are the Saudis, and they have like an infinite money glitch with with all the oil money that they have. I think if it wasn't for the Saudis funding this, I don't think you would see esports at the level that we're hoping to see in the Olympics. But yeah, maybe it'll bring more eyes on it. I think, again, like you said, the reason people watch streams is because they want to connect with the creator. And I think League is probably the best in kind of showing you some of the personality of the players. Like the videos that you see, the faker videos that I would see on TikTok, like where he's talking about like how he's inevitable and all this stuff. Yeah. I was like, I've never seen League before in my life, but like
make him sound like a hero in the game.
Yeah, I was like, this made me want to. I was like, holy crap, what's going on? I was like, I need to watch this. I don't understand what's going on, but like this is crazy. And like just seeing how excited people get when like people make crazy plays. Like again, I think you need to have a game that everyone is able to kind of connect to, and also show the personality of every single player and really help people kind of build that connection to the players. So you're able to follow it a little bit better.
Well, that's why your idea of, you know, these organizations helping them set up like the whole streaming thing that is such a fantastic idea, because like you said, you're getting them relatable, right? The community's watching, your Shroud and whomever, like then you're gonna go want to watch him play competitive play. You're gonna be more likely to tune into that. So that is, I think that's 100% something that these organizations should look into. Get your players set up with live streaming services, get them all hooked up on that end. Let them build their community and stuff like that, and then in turn, those guys, girls, whoever that are watching them play, are gonna want to watch them go play competitively. I mean, it almost seems like, why weren't they doing this in the first place?
And I think that's why you see the organizations that do well because they kind of rely on their content creators. Like 100 Thieves has Valkyrae, who again is like one of the biggest streamers in the world. I think if they didn't have these people that are creating content for them and kind of building the brand, because ultimately you want the brand to be the biggest thing. Like, yeah, you're going to have the players, and the players are going to, a lot of times the players are going to come and go, but you want the brand to kind of live forever. It's like the NBA is the NBA, whether LeBron James retires or never played basketball a day in his life. Yeah. It would still be the NBA. Like, yeah, the players are what kind of build the brand up, but ultimately the brand is what lives forever. And you have some organizations that do very well with that, with like I said, 100 Thieves is a great example. FaZe is a great example as well. Like I remember like growing up, everyone wanted to be in FaZe. Like FaZe was like the coolest thing in the world. People were saying like FaZe up every day in high school, which is insane. It's like, and people still kind of heavily connect to that FaZe brand, and they still think that FaZe is like the top of the top in terms of like esports. So ultimately it's building your brand and kind of becoming bigger than the creator, but at the same time you need the creators to help build the brand up.
No, I agree with you 100%. So I just want to say, I do wish him, or we wish him, the best of luck in his future endeavors, and hopefully, he does continue to make Valorant content for his fans. Some upcoming games everyone needs to be on the lookout for. You got Legends of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom coming to the Switch on the 26th, and then you also got NHL 25 coming out on the 27th. Now, looking at Steam, there are a bunch of games out on Steam on sale that I highly recommend you check out. The whole Star Wars Battlefront franchise is on sale. You got the original Battlefront is 80% off at $3.99. And the Battlefront 2 is 88% off at $4.79. Now, my Elden Ring fans, Elden Ring is 30% off at $41.99. The Crew 2, which I actually just picked up today, is 98% off at a whopping $1. Cyberpunk 2077 is 20% off at $23.99. And my Witcher fans, The Witcher is 75% off at $9.99. So if you guys are looking for some cheap, games to play, well, here you go. Here's a great list of them. And that's it for today's episode of NoBS. If you enjoyed the unfiltered conversations, make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube at NoBS Podcast GG. Also, don't forget to connect with us on X at NoBS Podcast GG for all the latest updates and more. Catch me on TikTok as well at Blake NoBS. We appreciate you listening, and we'll be back next week with more straight talk. NoBS.